Themes addressed in Towelhead are female sexuality, adolescent development, racism, lacking family supports, and exploitation. Towelhead, directed by Alan Ball, was initially released at the Toronto Film Festival under the name Nothing is Private. After much debate, Mr. Ball decided to return to the original name, Towelhead, which was based on a novel by Alicia Arian.
Towelhead tells the story of Jalisa, a 13-year-old Lebanese-American girl. During the course of this movie, she is developing into a young woman and is exploring her sexuality, alone with strict, conservative, uninvolved parents. At the beginning of the movie, she lives with her mother and her mother's boyfriend. After her mother's boyfriend molests her, she is sent to live with her father. Her mother believes that she needs to be able to live with a man in order to understand how to interact with a man. Her father is strict and does not provide much emotional support. She is eventually hired by her neighbors to babysit for their young son and is raped by the father. She enters into a relationship with a classmate that quickly becomes sexual in nature. Her new neighbor is concerned for her well-being and is very protective over her. After a fight with her father, Jalisa then moves in with her. After Jalisa is caught with her classmate, her virginity is then argued about, and she reveals the abuse by her neighbor, and it is eventually reported to the police.
Our multi-systemic analysis will include the adolescent, family context, environmental context, societal context, and intervention.
Jazeera is a 13-year-old Lebanese-American female. She currently resides in an upper-middle-class home with her father. She previously lived with her mother, where she was not supported or understood. Her mother's boyfriend exploited her, and her mother sent her away to live with her father as a result. Because of this, Jazeera received blame for the abuse. She is beginning to see that there are other ways of living and is open to learning about them. She struggles with having a traditional father, and she wants to live as a fully assimilated American. Her appropriate development is hindered by the abuse and rape she suffers from. She is bullied by peers for her ethnicity, and she does not have the ability to process her feelings with safe adults, and she doesn't understand the abuse that she suffers is wrong.
Jazeera's family consists of her parents, Gail and Rifat. Her parents are divorced, and her mother lives in Syracuse while her father lives in Houston, Texas. The film gives no information as to how long her parents have been divorced, but she originally lives with her mother, Gail, and her mother's live-in boyfriend, and after an incident, moves with her father. Her mother is strict in that, although not living with her, she reinforces her daughter to follow the authority of her father, despite knowing the factors of the situation. She is also selfish and self-focused. On a visit, she discusses with her daughter that her boyfriend recently moved out and tells her daughter how lonely she is and that she wants her daughter to return home. She's affectionate and that she hugs and comforts her when she's upset at the airport and on the phone. Jazeera's father, Rifat, is conservative. He slaps her on the first day for wearing a t-shirt that showed her stomach. He's abusive, hitting her and spitting her after he found scandalous magazines. He's unaware as that he speaks at his daughter about his thoughts without engaging in hers. He's intelligent and educated as he works for NASA, and racist as he refuses his daughter to spend time with the African American boy because he worries about how people will judge her. The environmental context consists of the home, school, and neighborhood. The home is clean, well cared for on the outside, but neglected emotionally on the inside. Reflective of a Middle Eastern home where it's revealed to be appropriate but what's going on the inside is personal and not revealed even to a family member. Jasira typically keeps her thoughts and feelings to herself as she's very agreeable. She doesn't have a close relationship with her father, who primarily talks at her, and she is left home alone often, which provides the opportunity to make unsavory decisions. The school environment is in a suburban neighborhood where there are better schools, claims the father. Some children at the school call her things like Towelhead, Camel Jockey, and other inappropriate names. Thomas later apologized and made friends with Jasira, later inviting her to his house for dinner. A school staff member stereotyped Jasira's dark complexion and spoke to her in Spanish, assuming she was Hispanic. She has one friend at school who is a European American and appears to be developing age appropriately, but is not physically as developed as Jasira. Jasira becomes sexually involved with Thomas, who is sensitive to her emotional needs and desires. The neighborhood is an upper-middle-class suburban neighborhood with large homes, well-manicured yards, and neighbors who appear to be friendly. Mr. Viuso is a retired Army Reserve. He's unhappy in his marriage, which he claimed to only marry her because she accidentally got pregnant. He first molests Jasira and says, "I would have never done that thing had I known you were still a virgin," as if prior sexual experience on her part determined whether or not molestation is a crime. He later manipulates Jasira, saying that he's going to war and wants to say goodbye. He then rapes her and justifies his behavior by telling her, "You know exactly what you are doing, don't you?" as if to convince himself that she is experienced and to dismiss the fact that she is only 13 years old. In addition, he tells her that if she dates a black boy, she will be viewed as a slut. Mr. Viuso is manipulative, justifies, and is racist. Another neighbor, Melina, is the greatest natural support in the film. She's warm, aware, unconditional, and is protecting of Jasira. Melina looks after Jasira, provides her with unconditional support, and makes sure that she is safe. She makes the statement, "I could never live with myself if anything happened." In that, she gives Jasira a house key and welcomes her to stay anytime. After a fight with her father, Jasira goes to stay with Melina and her husband. And the film ends with Jasira supporting Melina when she needed it most. The societal context that Jasira experiences is reflective of the time period taking place during the Gulf War. Many people were stereotypical and assumed that Jasira and her father were supportive of Saddam Hussein, when in reality they were Lebanese and were also fighting for his capture. The time period taking place during the war created an especially vulnerable environment for Jasira and her family, in that children at school persecuted her for being Lebanese. In addition, her father's traditional beliefs affected the societal context. His traditional beliefs created conflict for her as she wished to explore the world and understand what was going on with her body. He did not create an environment for her to have open discussions with him regarding her curiosity. Traditional beliefs were a blend of his Middle Eastern growing up and Christianity. The setting taking place in the South may have contributed to the lingering racism expressed in the film. Also, the film takes place in a middle to upper class environment. There was an element of entitlement among classmates and the neighbor. The combination of each of these aspects contributed contributed to an overall societal context that made it very difficult for Jasira to not only fit into her environment, but to appropriately interact with it.
One of the biggest problems that Jazeera encounters is the inability to talk with her parents about her sexual development. A program that we found that may have been helpful in facilitating this conversation is called the Family Matters Program. It is a prevention-based program that has 5 sessions to empower parents to talk with and educate their adolescents and promote healthy sexual behaviors. The focus is on education and facilitating the conversation between parent and child. It is currently implemented in Africa as a way to prevent HIV transmission. Session 1 of the program provides parents with an understanding of the purpose and goals of the Family Matters program. It includes information on child and adolescent development and raises awareness of the unique roles parents have in influencing their children's participation in healthy and safe behaviors. During Session 2, parents learn that it is still their role to guide children even as they grow older, and it supports parents in strengthening their parenting skills that support and reinforce risk reduction. Parents work to build strong, positive relationships with their children, to improve parent-child communication, and to supervise. Session 3 helps parents understand the realities of adolescent sexual behavior. It explains why parents are uniquely suited to develop sexual risk prevention messages, provides information on social, physical, and emotional development, and it describes how parents can raise sexually healthy children. Session 4 helps parents to embrace the knowledge, skills, comfort, and confidence needed to engage their children in meaningful, sensitive, and timely discussions about sexual issues and sexual risk reduction. It provides additional sexual and reproductive health information on family planning, STIs, HIV/AIDS, sexual issues in medical male circumcision, prevention of mother-to-child transmission, HIV testing and counseling, referrals to local resources. It also helps parents become more aware of their own sexual values and how to communicate those values to their children and introduce communication tools. Session 5 lets parents continue to practice the skills they've learned by providing time for them to interact and engage in direct communication with their child. The session also presents a 4-step parenting plan to help children resist peer pressure.